it's off season for some other clubs already. In fact, only 4 teams are still in contention for the NWSL championship. So that means everybody else is navigating their official off season. And that means that for the first time in NWSL history, there is going to be NWSL Free Agency. Exciting times for the league and honestly for the players. This was something that was fought for within the new collective bargaining agreement between the league and the NWSL Players Association. Players who have met the eligibility requirement of, I believe it is 6 years of service within the league, are now eligible to negotiate their contracts within free agency. But it wasn't without a little bit of discourse. Of course, it's the first year, right, where free agency is introduced in the league. And so naturally, there was a little bit of pushback in terms of what actually qualifies, what contract actually qualifies free agency. There are certain players with 6 years of service who had contract options on their player contracts. So there was some back and forth between the PA, the league, ownership. Arbitrary hearings had to take place on October 4th and October 6th. But guess what? They said, listen, the third party arbitrator said, listen, this is what was written and this is what stands and this is what it is moving forward. So now those 22 players who were a little bit up in the air about free agency are officially joined the full slate of players who can begin negotiations.
Yes, I think the details of it. This is what happens when you write a CBA and you think you put all the details in there. I mean, we talked to PA Executive Director Megan Burke about this, and she was like, "Yeah, we went through everything. We figured out the details, but there's always going to be loopholes," and that's really what it came down to. And it wasn't a matter of like days of free agency; it was a matter of months of free agency, because those 22 players that had options to extend their contract through 2023, they were not going to be eligible for free agency until November 15th. That's what the NWSL was saying for them. So the PA was arguing that the option needed to have been exercised prior to the start of free agency, which was late August. Otherwise, the player was a free agency. So before this, the clubs didn't have to decide until November 15th that they were going to use their option or not for the player for the next year. So it turns out that all of these players are now free agents. They've slotted into that. They kind of got what they wanted, right, in terms of winning this and everything like that. So now 22 players joined the initial group given free agency. So there's a lengthy list of free agency players. You can find it on the NWSL website for sure. But it's very exciting time for these players. Sandra?
I muted myself, y'all. I got so excited. It's an exciting time, I think, for all these players, because some of the names that drop, Lisa, it's like these are players who have had minimum of 6 years of playing time in the league. So these aren't players that people are unfamiliar with. These are players who have been staples of their franchises, quite frankly. You know, you see, if you're watching us and joining us live on YouTube, you can sort of see the image here that we've got up. Just some of the names that stand out. Lauren Barnes, someone who's been with Oil Reign since the inaugural season of this league. Players like Danny Colaprico or Vanessa DiBernardo, who were drafted by the Red Stars and have been part of the Red Stars franchise for some time. Big names, right? Players who have won World Cups, you know, players like Morgan Gautrat or Tobin Heath, who are listed on here. Well, multiple years, multi-leagues, quite frankly. Christine Sinclair, you know, the leading international goal scorer, you know, Canadian international, longtime Portland Thorns player, you know, on listed on this as well. Sophie Smith, you know, her Canadian compatriot, currently playing with Houston Dash, also on this list, you know, as well. Other international players, somebody like a Jodie Taylor, right? English international listed on here as well. So it's a lot of players listed on it. And I am curious as to how free agency will shake out. Will a lot of these players ultimately negotiate directly with clubs that they have been a part of for a long time, or what will the market look like for some teams who are looking to sort of boost up their rosters ahead of the 2023 season. It's going to be an exciting time for sure.
It is very exciting especially for these players that now have the freedom of their lives and of their career professionally to make those decisions about what they want to do, go where they want, play where they want to play, with who they want to play with, and for how much money they think they deserve. It's very exciting time. Finally, we're reaping so many of the benefits that the CBA provided for these players. And I'm really, really excited for the offseason to kind of see what happens with all of these free agents.
We'll have to keep an eye on it, and we will. We do our news and notes episodes as often as we can, and sort of be able to fill in everybody and what is happening across the globe. Thanks everybody for joining us. That's all we've got today. Download, follow, and listen to Attacking Third wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. If you like what you hear, go ahead and leave us a 5-star rating and review. That helps us out so much here at the pod. You can catch us too. Subscribe on youtube.com/Attacking Third to get alerts whenever we go live, and make sure you get your tickets to the NWSL Championship in Washington, D.C., and you can see us.
We'll be there
for our live show. We're so hyped about it. We'll be back with more coverage, exclusive interviews with our NWSL playoff coverage on Thursday.
Go Phils.
Yeah, go Phillies. Go everybody in Philadelphia for Lisa, for Sandra and Lisa Roman. This was Attacking Third.